preparing history for sleep. Why it was terrible to be a blacksmith in the Middle Ages and more. You stirred from your slumber in a dimly lit room situated in a small hamlet somewhere in medieval England. The air was thick with the scent of damp straw and smoke, a fragrant blend that surely made one feel alive, or just suffocated. You wiped a hand across your brow, feeling the sticky touch of perspiration mixed with something more unsavory. Creak of wood. Outside, the stillness was punctuated only by the distant clanging of the village bells. But here, nestled in this quaint abode, you were greeted by an unwelcome entourage of fleas, performing their morning dance on your skin. Insect buzzing. You grimaced. The day had begun as it often did, uncomfortably. You swung your feet over the edge of the makeshift bed, where wool blankets mingled with more straw than was likely necessary. With the chill in the air, each step felt like a reluctant negotiation with the cold wooden floor. Chill shiver. The promise of a warm breakfast awaited, however mundane it would be. First, it was time to sweep the dirt floor. Your broom, a collection of twigs, seemed more adept at scattering the dust than collecting it. You found yourself wondering if you were more of a dust pusher than a true cleaner. Ah, well, just another thrilling task to add to my nightly exploits, you mused sarcastically. Your next venture led you to the pottage, simmering in a pot over the fire, the scent rising like a dense fog of yesteryear's meals. There was only one thing left to do. Stir it until the flavors, if there were any, magically combined. This is where the tediousness enveloped you like a heavy cloak, bubbling of pottage. Round and round we go, stirring our exciting concoction, you thought, while managing to stifle a yawn. Did anyone turn a pottage this well? Maybe it was a secret passcode to the village's deepest mysteries. Silence. A glimpse of the outside world caught your eye through the grimy window. A world where life might just be a little less dreary. As the morning sun crept higher, the fleeting warmth offered a shred of comfort. But soon, it was overpowered by thoughts of the anvil waiting for you at the forge. It seemed relentless, as if calling you forth to hammer out yet another day of sparks and labor. The reality settled upon me. It was certainly less thrilling than one might hope, and as the day wore on, your eyelids began to grow heavy. But then a shout broke the tranquil rhythm of your morning. "Oi! There's something strange at the forge!" The words hung in the air, filling you with an unusual curiosity. What could possibly be amiss? Murmurs of an intrigued crowd. Hey, before Morpheus fully embraces you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Take a moment to leave a like, as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this calm corner alive. Thanks for being part of it. A shocking discovery at the forge. You hesitated, caught between dread and intrigue. Outside, the buzz of the village mixed with whispers of concern. What could be strange at the forge? You pondered, the curiosity gnawing at your insides. With a reluctant sigh, you tossed aside the half-stirred pottage and ventured outside. The air hit you, damp and heavy, pregnant with the scent of wood smoke and pending turmoil. The village square was gathering life. Locals hushed and pointed, a tide of tense anticipation. Your heart raced with each step toward the forge, each thud echoing like a taunt. As you drew closer, the clamor rose, a dissonant mixture of awe and horror. You peeked through the open door, bracing for chaos. What greeted you was far more bizarre than you could have anticipated. The forge, usually a beacon of heat and labor, was aglow with an unearthly light. Embers danced like ethereal sprites, swirling captivatingly, casting an eerie glow that cloaked your surroundings. But that wasn't the only thing that chilled you to your core. Fingers trembling, you stepped inside, the heat brushing your skin like a forgotten warmth. At the anvil, you found your father, but he wasn't alone. He was stooped over a peculiar rune-carved object, one that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The whispers grew louder, converging upon this mysterious artifact. "Father," you called, your voice barely a quiver above a whisper. He looked up, eyes widened like lanterns, beyond reason. "You must leave, now. It's not what you think." Your pulse quickened, but dangerous glimmer shone in his eyes. Was it madness or something more sinister? "What are you talking about?" you pressed, stepping closer. "Elders know. They will come for it. For us." His words spilled out in fragments, hesitation stitched into every syllable. Just then, the gentle clanging of the village bells morphed, echoing with a sense of impending doom, almost mocking. Suddenly, the door flew open, and a figure stumbled in, eyes wild and frantic. It was Mary, the village herbalist. "It's true. They found the bodies." Her voice quivered, sending shivers racing across your skin. "Bodies? Yes, the blacksmiths from Black Hollow. They weren't just gone. They were taken." Her breathless shock hung in the air, palpable and thick. Your gaze flicked between Mary and your father, realization starting to dawn. The forge had always been a refuge, but now it was an epicenter of dread. The artifact pulsed ominously, casting shadows that danced with life, like shadows of the very souls they spoke about. "What did you do?" you mouthed, your voice barely audible. Piles of unanswered questions piled up like forgotten tools in the corner. I forged a pact," he murmured, eyes darting to Mary, then back to you. "To keep us safe, to give the village strength." The air thickened with dread. Another chant reverberated through the village now, unknown, dark and twisted. With each echo, it felt as if the world outside was shifting, uprooting a delicate balance of life. Then, before you could comprehend, an explosion of light surged from the object, lighting up the forge and spilling forth shadows all around you. what had your father unleashed? And as screams erupted outside and the earth beneath your feet trembled, you realized your mundane life had fallen away, revealing a terrifying new reality. What had begun as a day of drudgery now spiraled into chaos, leaving you standing at the edge of an abyss. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A disturbing truth unveiled. You barely processed the chaos. The pulsating light flickered like a candle caught in a storm, illuminating the forge in wild tones of orange, red, and dark shadows. It wrapped around you, both enticing and horrifying. A scream pierced the air, sharp like a dagger. People were scattering in every direction, eyes wide with panic. You felt your heart thudding, pounding against your ribs like it wanted out. The artifact on the anvil erupted in a burst of energy, sending a wave of heat through the room. The whispers escalated, spiraling into a cacophony that filled your head. What has he done? You thought, eyeing your father's frantic form. He staggered backward, hands raised as if trying to fend off the consequences of his actions. You have to understand, he shouted, voice trembling. This was meant to protect us. Protect you? Suddenly, the world outside felt too close, too present. Shadows twisted unnaturally, crawling across the floor like tar. You fought the urge to retreat, to hide back in the dark corners of your mundane life. Then it hit you, a wave of icy dread. You stumbled forward, the vision disturbing as it unfolded. You remembered the stories whispered in the corners of the tavern. The elders supposed to be wise, but perhaps they weren't just grantors of knowledge. Perhaps they were the very reason behind the disappearances. Mary gasped, her fingers clawing at her neck, eyes wild with realization. They knew about the blacksmiths. They knew, she insisted, and they didn't stop it. Shadows flickered, coalescing into figures darting around the forge. Some were villagers, faces trapped in expressions of dread. Others, cloaked in darkness, seemed to glide closer, as if called forth by a sinister chant. "Father," you asked, your voice unsteady, "who are they?" He lowered his hands slowly, sorrow piercing his eyes. "The elders, we thought they were steering us, but they were drawing power from us. The blacksmith's craftsmanship." Your mind struggled to decipher it, and yet it felt chillingly clear. Centuries of tradition twisted into something unnatural, the very essence of the village, once thriving with spirit, now a resource to feed on. A crack echoed, reverberating beneath your feet, sending tremors through the ground. "We must stop them," Mary shouted, determination dawning in her eyes. But desperation drowned your words. "How?" you managed to whisper. But your voice was lost in the frenzy outside. The villagers were screaming now, chaos reigniting the air. Unseen forces seemed to battle around you, shadows of the taken rising with an energy that felt ancient and alive. You turned, eyes darting back to your father, but he was consumed, fingers trembling violently as they hovered over the rune-carved artifact. The glow intensified, pulling at him, drawing him like a moth to flickering flames. You stepped back, breath hitching. "Do you realize what this means?" you gasped. "You have to destroy it." But just as the words left your lips, the light erupted again, flooding the forge with a blinding intensity. You shielded your eyes, stumbling back toward the door, ready to escape, until the ground beneath you began to shift, cracking open like an egg. You stared wide-eyed, legs frozen. What fresh horror was this? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A disturbance in the forge. You stood at the precipice of chaos. The ground cracked beneath your feet, fissures snaking outward like veins of fear. What had your father stirred from its ancient slumber? Your heart thundered. You took a step back, the air heavy with dread and acrid smoke. Shadows writhed and merged, foreshadowing a grim fate. The villagers' screams echoed, mingling with the cacophony of impending doom. Then something glimmered amidst the chaos. A figure emerged from the shadows, weaving through the swirling dark shapes like a candle through fog. It was the village elder, her presence both commanding and unsettling. She stepped closer, her eyes glinting with a strange knowledge. "Enough!" she boomed, voice slicing through the panic. The shadows hesitated, recoiling like burnt creatures. "You meddle with forces beyond your ken." You caught your breath, senses heightened. Could she possibly control whatever had been unleashed? The villagers, hanging on her words, caught between defiance and fear. "No, I wanted to protect us." "Protect?" she scoffed. "You've opened a door to powers that hungered beneath our very feet." The artifact on the anvil pulsed as if in agreement, glowing brighter with each word. You swallowed hard, anxiety gnawing at your insides. "Who are they?" you whispered. "And what do they want?" The elder's gaze pierced through the shadows. "They are the remnants of those lost to greed and ambition. They will haunt us. They feed on fear." Your mind raced. Stories of lost blacksmiths filled your head, myths that had once sounded mere fancy. What if they were true? "Enough of this talk!" The elder's voice pressed heavier into the air. "This has gone far beyond caution. The village draws near its fate unless—" A tremor shook the forge, cutting through her warning. You staggered, gripping the anvil for balance. "Unless what?" you shouted above the din. "Unless we seal the pact." "Seal the pact?" you interrupted, incredulous. "What pact? What cost?" She took a breath, her eyes boring deep into yours. "A sacrifice, a binding of sorts, but not all will survive." The implication twisted in your gut like a knife. A sacrifice? What did that mean for you? Your father, the village? "My father can't be the one," you protested, gaze darting to the smoking artifact. "What about the others? What about Mary?" "She holds no power," the elder declared coldly. "You must decide. Family or village? Choose wisely." And there it hung, an ultimatum dripping with dread, suffocating the air. Outside, the villagers were gripped in horror as shadows clawed at their legs. Your heart raced, adrenaline spiking. Time was slipping away, but the choice weighed like lead. Just as you opened your mouth to speak, a deafening roar erupted from the crack beneath your feet. The floor heaved, hurtling you backwards. You landed hard, confusion swirling as darkness poured from the crack, enveloping everything in its path. What had you set in motion? Who would pay the price? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A disturbance like no other. You barely scraped through that moment, eyes wide, as shadows writhed and darkness swirled. The forge, your home, felt like it was teetering on the brink of a nightmare. The ground cracked beneath you with a thunderous roar, the very essence of the earth convulsing. "Look out!" someone shouted. You stumbled back, barely dodging a cascade of bricks tumbling from the furnace. Cracks opened like jaws of a hungry beast, ready to swallow whatever remained of the mundane village life. How fitting, you thought bitterly. Just as you gathered your wits amidst panic and sound, the flickering warmth turned bitter cold. It was as if the very fabric of your reality shifted into something dark and grotesque. Your father grasped the anvil, a look of panic mingling with exhilaration. "This isn't how it was supposed to be!" he yelled, voice shrill amid the chaos. Mary bolted toward you, her eyes wild, face flushed. "You need to help him!" "Help him? He's the one who started this!" you shouted back, heart racing. But just then a tremor rippled through the ground, sending both of you staggering forward. The elder stepped away, uncertainty reflected in her eyes. "By the ancients, it wasn't supposed to happen this way." "What do you mean?" you asked, desperation clawing at your throat. "It was meant to be a sealed pact, one that maintained balance," she exclaimed, disbelief spilling from her lips. "But with the shadowed bloodline?" "Shadow bloodline? What in the name of all that is new and wretched is that?" Mary gasped, drawing closer, trembling. "It can't be. The elders, they were supposed to be guiding us. Not—" A chilling thought crept in. What if this conflict went beyond mere power and protection? As the chaos unfolded, the villagers outside screamed. Fear filled the air like thick smoke, as shadows coalesced from the cracks beneath your feet. You looked back at your father, who stared with wide eyes, now enchanted by the pulsing artifact. It beckoned like a siren, singing an old, mournful tune, pulling him deeper into the darkness. In the depth of your confusion, a chilling clarity pierced through. The elders had known more about the village's fate than they ever let on. It wasn't just legends of lost blacksmiths feeding on fear. It was the very essence of your existence, hanging by a thread. Suddenly, the artifact sparked, illuminating the forge in wild, pulsating colors, orange and deepest crimson, a kaleidoscope of storm and shadow. "Back away," you yelled, stumbling. You don't know what you're dealing with. But it was too late. A rush of energy surged through the forge, a wind that smelled of burnt metal and sorrow. Everything vibrated, and for a moment, time trembled. Then came the whispers. Hushed voices from the shadows spoke your name, called your father's name, and soon they were echoing your darkest fears. "Help!" screamed a voice from the depths, one that you recognized all too well. You turned to find Mary's furious eyes fixed on you, both fear and anger etched across her face. "Your family is entwined with this," she shouted, as a terrible understanding dawned upon you. Entwined, you thought? What twisted bond had held the village for generations? And before you could fathom the answer, the ground split further, a wicked tremor pushing you backward. Something rose, a figure cloaked in darkness, wielding an energy that radiated like a storm on the horizon. The screams grew ever louder. With your heart racing, you realized you were standing on the brink of something horrific. Something that could forever alter your world. What happened next was shrouded in mystery. Even your breathing seemed to falter under the weight of that question. Was the village destined to crumble? Or could shadows be tamed? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims, you quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A shadow of betrayal looms. You stood there, breathless, as the shadows twisted around you. The air thickened with dread. Every fiber of your being screamed that something sinister lingered beneath the chaos. Then, amidst the swirling dark, a shudder rippled through the forge. Like a gasp escaping the clutches of silence, threads of that ancient magic twisted and danced, drawing your gaze back to the enigmatic elder. Her expression, once fierce, now wavered, revealing a flicker of fear. "What do we do?" you asked, your voice barely breaking the suffocating atmosphere. You were aware. Time was not on your side. But she didn't hear you. Her eyes narrowed, piercing through the chaos. This isn't what I expected. You sensed that forge, and there it was, the flicker of something familiar, a soft glow behind her. Strange, you thought. It shone with a warmth you hadn't felt in ages, a stark contrast to the creeping chill of the darkness closing in. "Stand back!" you shouted to Mary, who hovered near, visibly shaken. The light grew, manifesting into shapes, figures with familiar but wrong faces. "Wait!" you shouted, realizing too late. It was the true villagers, the ones long gone, the lost blacksmiths of the whispers. They drifted toward you, eyes vacant, faces caught in eternal pain. "Dad!" you shrieked, fear lacing through your trembling voice. "They're not just shades!" Your father's eyes widened as he stepped closer. "No, they were supposed to be at peace." Panic spilled into his tone, wrapping around you like mist. It was too late, however. The figures reached out, their fingers raw and desperate. The whispers swelled within the forge. They spoke your name, your father's, your village's sins. You stumbled back, gathering your wits. This can't be. But the elder spoke, her voice low, barely audible above the rising cacophony. They weren't just taken. They were forgotten, sacrificed in our name. The words hung heavy in the air. Sacrificed? Had the village traded their spirits for protection? A twisted pact, woven into your heritage, clawing back for restitution. Suddenly a powerful wind spiraled through the forge, and the light flickered. The wood creaked ominously, vibrating under the pressure of hidden truths. The landscape shifted, and the figures solidified, forming into a wall of pain and anger. They flooded the forge, shadows laced with despair. Then the elder did something unexpected. She stepped forward, arms raised, palms open toward the vengeful spirits. "I offer myself," she proclaimed. The shadows stilled, and whispers turned into a haunting silence. You felt your breath hitch, thoughts spiraling. She had been holding secrets tighter than the straws. In your bed. "What are you doing?" you gasped, regret and fear entwining. "You must understand," she said, voice breaking. "This was never just about you or the village. We've all played our part." The ground trembled beneath you once more, cracks widening, heartbeats echoing. You understood now the true cost of balance. Would she really sacrifice herself to save the village? In that moment of realization, something darker brushed against your mind, a fear of what lay beyond, lurking from the shadows, waiting for the imbalance to spill. And just as it seemed that fate would weave a new path, the fabric of reality strained against the weight of choices. A collective breath filled the air, pregnant with possibilities and terrors alike. What would emerge from this tangled web of shadows, sacrifice, and betrayal? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like, as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A disturbing truth revealed. You were lost, suspended in a place. Moment of dread. The elder's sacrifice loomed before you, her face a mask of regret. Shadows twisted wildly, threatening to engulf everything you held dear. But then something surprising happened. A single crack appeared in the air, slicing through the chaos, almost like a veil lifting. With a force that seemed to originate from the very depths of the earth, a figure emerged from the shadows. Not a ghost, but someone all too familiar. It was old Harold, the village's most notorious hermit, long thought to be dead. His presence was unsettling, like a chill weaving through the forge, clashing irreversibly with the warmth of the artifact. He stepped forward, eyes glinting with a malevolence that sent chills racing down your spine. "What have you unleashed?" he sneered, voice raspy like wind through dry straw. Your father stepped back, fear evident. "I wanted to protect the village. I didn't understand." Harold chuckled, a dry, chilling sound. "You think you're the only one with ambitions? Clutching at the threads of power? The elders gave the pact willingly. It was your family that broke it." You nearly choked in disbelief. "What? My family? How?" He pointed a crooked finger at your father, the accusation heavier than any anvil. Years ago, the bloodline of the blacksmith was meant to forge a bond with the village. But there was a choice that you let slip away. "What choice?" you demanded, heart racing. "They chose to keep the village in the dark. Your father abandoned the pact and sealed your fate." The words hung in the air, thick and suffocating. You felt the weight of the shadows pressing down, growing restless. The villagers outside were losing their fight against dread, with whispers of despair racing through the crowd. "Do you not see?" Harold hissed, eyes gleaming. With every strike of the hammer, your father forged not just metal, but chains binding the souls of the lost. The artifact flickered ominously, its glow now swamped with shades dancing dangerously close. You looked to Mary, who stood rooted in horror. "Is it true?" "No," she stammered, but even she couldn't hide the belief blossoming in her heart. "And now you're paying the price," Harold continued, advancing until he loomed over your father, a specter of twisted truths. "You unleash the past, a debt long due. They demand restitution." You turned, panic clawing at your chest. "What do we do?" You were clinging to threads of reality, and they felt ready to snap. But before Harold could respond, the artifact blazed with a fresh light. The whispers crescendoed into a chorus of anguished cries. Energy surged and enveloped you, mingling fear with dark, ancient power. The elder stepped forward once again, resolve fueling her. "We can seal it, but it will cost you everything. Everything, you whispered, but desperation snatched the words away as the ground trembled beneath you once more. Shadows swelled, swirling violently, and the echo of long-lost voices howled through the forge. And before you could decide whether that was an offer or a curse, the blast of energy exploded outwards, tearing the very fabric of the village apart. As dust and chaos enveloped you, one last thought filtered through. What had your family truly unleashed? Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A shadow of truth revealed. The blast of energy shattered the forge's uneasy tranquility, flinging you backward into chaos. Dust swirled around you, mingling with the acrid scent of smoke and burnt metal. Your head spun, the whispers crescendoed, filling your ears with a maddening symphony of lost souls. You blinked through the haze, your heart racing as figures materialized, but not in the expected drape of lost blacksmiths. No, instead they were villagers you knew well, faces twisted in anguish. "No, what are you doing here?" A scream clawed its way from your throat, heavy with disbelief. A collective murmur surged from the shadows, echoing your thoughts. The figures advanced, ghostly hands reaching outward as if they craved something long lost. You stumbled back, your hand brushing against the rough stone wall of the forge. And then came old Harold's voice, like gravel scratching against glass. "You fools! You thought sealing the pact would bring peace? You're as misguided as a barrel at sea." The shadows lunged, and all at once, your trembling heart felt ice cold. Rumors whispered in tavern corners resurfaced. Dark pacts, lost hopes, and unquenchable thirst for revenge. It hit you. The villagers were not just lost. They were cast aside. Harold grinned wickedly, his eyes gleaming darkly. Your father's family rewrote history without a second thought. But the truth has teeth, and it's hungry. A shiver crawled up your spine. Truth? What truth? Your kin forged chains, but they forgot to think of their neighbors. He spat, stepping closer. You are the key to unraveling it all. But oh, the cost will be steep. You blinked as his words sank in, confusion pooling in your chest. "Wait, what do you mean by the key?" Desperation tinged your voice, but he just chuckled, like it was all a cruel game you weren't a part of. Then the artifact pulsed again, and shadows lurched toward it, hungry. They flickered, as if they sensed something within. A darkness awakening. Whispers rushed forward, and amid the cacophony, the elder shouted, "No! The balance must be reestablished." You strained to listen over the tumult. What balance? What do we do? The room trembled. Old Harold's voice was a sinister caress. Only one thing can bind the past, a blood offering. A bone-deep chill shattered your resolve. Me? You stumbled backward, eyes wide, every instinct screaming to run. Suddenly, Mary, caught in the chaos, reached for you. We can't let this happen. We must find another way. But the shadows moved, undulating like a living tide. Your father's face reflected horror as realization dawned upon him. And he shouted, "It lies within the bloodlines." A crack echoed, and the ground beneath you wept, fissures stretching wide. What had your family truly forged? With the villagers rising as an angry multitude, faces lost between past and present, the choice lay heavy upon your shoulders. A sacrifice. Was it you or someone else? Would you stand powerless as the darkness unraveled everything you knew? The shadows whispered your name, and just as you opened your mouth to respond, the world around you began to shift violently. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. A toast to shadows unveiled. The chamber felt claustrophobic, shadows whispering your name with each tremor of the earth. The villagers, spectral figures of anguish, closed in slowly. A pulse of power coursed through the artifact, hungry, as if it could taste fear. You staggered, the weight of choices before you, heavy as stones. Sacrifice, you thought. It echoed in your mind, mocking your existence. Old Harold chuckled, an eerie sound slicing through the uproar. You think they'll let you choose another way? Don't delude yourself. The echo of torment spun within the forge. Shadows shifted, creeping closer to you. An ancient hunger gnawing at the edges of reality. You turned to your father. Is it true? His face was pale, almost ghostly. I didn't know. Each word fell from his lips, laden with regret. Didn't know what? You pressed, fear coiling in the pit of your stomach. At that moment, the air shifted. A figure appeared at the door, a silhouette framed by the light. You squinted, heart racing. Enough, the newcomer shouted, voice booming with authority. As the figure stepped forward, you recognized her. It was Greta, the village's weaver, the one who whispered secrets amongst fabric. Greta? Save your feeble responses. You're in way over your head, and I'm here to enlighten you. Her presence was stark against the chaos, the way sunlight cuts through fog. Enlighten me? You scoffed, as if we need another lecture, not when shadows threaten to consume us. But she held up her hand, silencing the storm swirling around you. Listen, what your father did wasn't a mere accident. It was part of something grander. Your breathing quickened. What do you mean? The pact wasn't a mere agreement with the dark. It was forged in bloodlines that trace back centuries. A covenant with powers older than your understanding. Power older than your understanding? A shiver crawled down your spine, sending dread racing through your veins. "You're part of it," she declared. "Your blood binds you to the lost, to the whispers you hear." "Us?" your father echoed, recoiling as if struck. Greta nodded. "Your family has unknowingly nurtured this cycle. The blacksmith's skill was never meant for mere weaponry, but as a bridge drawing from realms hidden deep within. You struggled to grasp it, horror creeping like a cold wind. And now, we stand on the brink of chaos, all because of our lineage? Precisely, she replied, urgency flickering in her eyes. You must take on the mantle that your forefathers abandoned. If not, the village will perish. Her words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Take on a mantle? You laughed bitterly, disbelief clouding your judgment. And what will that require? My life? Possibly. Abruptly, a deafening roar shattered the night. The shadows surged, a churning mass of grief and fury. "Ah, look at that," Greta said dryly. "I think your invitation has been accepted." With that, the ground buckled beneath you, a chasm yawning open, impatient to claim all that stood above it. "There's no time," she urged you, grabbing your arm. "You must choose." But from the depths of the emerging crack, a chilling voice rose, a haunting echo of those long lost. "We rise again, forged by blood. Will you be our savior or our doom?" And just as the shadows lashed out, enwrapping you in darkness, you realized the real weight of your lineage. The truth was a blade edged with betrayal, and you stood at its mercy. Hey, before Morpheus fully claims you, quickly check if you're still subscribed. For some, the button vanished, and I don't want you to miss the next bedtime stories. Drop a like as soft as a pillow. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it? Your interaction keeps this corner of calm alive. Thanks for being part of it. The shadows surged forward, intertwining as your heart raced. The air thickened with a terrible reverence of what lay ahead. Greta's insistence echoed in your mind, pushing against the anxiety, gnawing at your insides. Could you truly be the one to hold the fate of your village? The swirling mass of grief reached out, an open maw beckoning for an offering. A sacrificial bond intertwined with blood and choices. Mustering every ounce of courage, you stepped forward, the echoes of lost souls biting at your resolve. "I will not let fear rule us," you proclaimed, though even you felt the quiver in your voice. Old Harold laughed, a chilling sound mingling with the rising energy. But as you glanced at him, determination flickered, an ember igniting against darkness. "I might be young, but I will forge something new." Around you, whispers rose to a fever pitch, spectral voices urging, demanding. You cast a glance back at your father and Mary, both wide-eyed and helpless, caught between a past unraveling and a fragile future. Greta's gaze softened. You possess the strength of your lineage, a strength meant to protect, not to bind. You can choose to heal this rift. And so, with trembling hands, you reached for the artifact, feeling its warmth pulse beneath your fingertips, like the last beating heart in a dying creature. I accept the burden, you declared, voice steadying, resonating against the dread. As if sensing your resolve, the shadows recoiled slightly, whispers fading into uncertain murmurs. The dark figures of the blacksmiths halted, wavering like candle flames caught in a sudden draft. Old Harold's expression twisted in disbelief, his power wavering. "What have you done?" "I've chosen," you said, with newfound conviction, "not for darkness, but for the light that guards us." Greta began to chant, words spilling from her lips like soothing rain on a parched field. You could feel warmth radiating from the artifact, glowing brighter, and suddenly the villagers began to step forward, united in their voices, calling out the names of those lost. In a cascade of light, a blanket of hope enveloped the forge. The dark figures began to dissolve, their anguish melting into the illumination. Your heart raced as you watched the forgotten blacksmiths flicker, smiles breaking onto their spectral faces, a return from the abyss. "Thank you," they whispered, voices intertwining, floating upward like tendrils of smoke. The chamber erupted in a brilliant flash, raw warmth spilling across what had once been shadows of dread. The ground trembled beneath you, but rather than an ominous crack, it erupted into flowers, a kaleidoscope of colors that filled the forge and the village beyond. No darkness remained as the villagers emerged from their hesitant corners, the fear melting into tears of relief. Laughter ebbed and flowed like a gentle stream, washing away the burden of centuries. Silence followed, heavy but welcoming. You could barely identify the faces, but the bond felt tethered, a connection reaffirmed in this new dawn. You had forged a new pact, not a bond of blood, but a union of hearts entwined in hope. Yet, as you looked at your father, you spotted the shadows of history lingering in his eyes. A silent question left unasked. Where do we go from here? You wondered aloud, not really expecting an answer. And as you stepped away from the forge, echoes of lost laughter mingled with the promise of new beginnings. Maybe all ghosts could find peace, or perhaps they were just waiting for the right moment to whisper again. You must subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Don't wait another second to share this video right away with 5 friends who need to hear this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions.